Welcome to another edition of the Coach and the Scribe, powered by the Rehab Center, with 6 locations, including locations in Clarion, Brookville, and Katanning. Call the Rehab Center for all your chiropractic needs today at 724-478-1501. It's one number. It'll get you into any of their 6 offices. A couple of D9 guys over there, Dr. Isaac Greeley from Port Allegheny, Dr. Matt Brush from Brookville. Also, Dr. Jason Jacobs, really good guys. I've been going there for a while now, Jess, and I can't say enough about them. Their tagline is chiropractors for health, and you know what? Those guys are just great guys, and we really appreciate their sponsorship. Let's take a quick look at what happened here tonight. Really, it can be boiled down to one thing: Union couldn't shoot the basketball.
No, they couldn't. Looking at what happened in the first half, they were getting good looks, and it just didn't fall. But it wasn't falling for either team in the first half. But those shooting woes continued through the second half. At one point, Dominica Logue, who is, by far, Union's top player, was getting good looks, and it would just rattle in and out and then fall, and it just wouldn't go for them tonight. That's all.
Yeah, they were like 10 of 50 shooting, and there's really nothing you can do sometimes. Keystone didn't shoot the ball real well in the first half. Right. They shot the ball better in the second half, and Josh Ames, you talked to him about what was the difference. He goes, just shoot or shoot, and you just hope at some point in time as a coach that if you keep shooting the basketball, it'll go. That just didn't happen for Ali Keppel and Union tonight.
That's exactly right. And I was talking to Josh. Josh played for me years ago, and he gave all the credit to his girls. He said, we really didn't change anything, at halftime. We just went in and said, we're getting good looks. Just keep going. Stay confident, stay with it, and it'll fall. And it did. And then once that momentum really started to go Keystone's way, it was done. It was over.
Emily Lauer showed why she's one of the top players in District 9 tonight. 18 points, 11 rebounds. She's not real tall, but she just finds a way to get in there and get the boards.
I was watching her, and when she would drive the lane and dish, all the attention would go with the ball, and she would find a crack. She would find a lane and get very, very good position where she would just pull that rebound down and put it right back up and get a good shot. So very, very high basketball IQ, playing very, very good team basketball, and that's why she's your Hager Paving Player of the Game.
Yeah, you look at Keystone, and they had a really tough game over the Christmas holidays. In between Christmas and New Year's, they go up to Cranberry. Actually, it was after that. It was after they had that tough game against Cranberry. After that, they were up there in a tournament, and that's what I was thinking. But then they came back. They had a tough game against Cranberry, scored like 23 points and lost. But they've come back this week with a couple of strong wins. How important is it when you know that you're a good basketball team, and they're probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in Class AA in District 9 right now? How important is it for you to be able to turn things around after a bad loss?
Well, talking with Coach Ames, it's exactly what he said. He said, we shot the same way in that Cranberry game. It just never fell for us. Tonight, even though they had some shooting woes in the first half, they kept after it. And when you do those things, they're getting good looks, you just keep shooting the ball, those things happen. And I think they can take a lot of confidence from this game, looking at how they shot in the first half. It didn't fall, but how they kept after it, same plays, backdoor cuts, good looks at the rim. They started to fall, and once they gained that momentum, you can now take that and move it on into the season, because now it's going to start getting important through January.
Yeah, and for Union now, they're at a crossroads. They were 6-2 going into this week. They lost 3 times this week. They're 6-5, still a young team. What do you have? Do you have to handle a young team when they get into a slump like this differently than you would a veteran team?
Yes, you really have to, Bob and I have talked about this a lot. You really have to do a lot of teaching. And, that's something that comes with experience, years of being on the bench. You take those girls and you say, look, and you show them the film. This didn't fall, but why? Maybe their feet, maybe they weren't set, maybe they weren't square to the hoop. Those types of things. We turned the ball over a little bit. Look at the little things. Sometimes you kind of reset and go back to fundamentals when you have a very, very young team. And then you start to build from there.
Taking a look around the district for a second here this week, Jess, is there anything that surprised you this week?
What didn't surprise me? I mean, talking to Union's boys coach, Coach Saylor. And he was very confident going in. They played AC Valley on Monday. He was pretty confident that they could come out with a win. AC Valley. They turn around on, was it Wednesday? They have the
that unbelievable three-quarter shot.
By Caden Rainey. They get the win over Karn City. So those things, you look at that CL game that we had with Keystone on the boys. You look at North Clarion girls and what have they, been able to do. It's amazing, and it's so much fun to be a part of, sitting in the stands and watching great basketball.
What I'm a little surprised about is Ridgeway scuffling on the boys' side right now. They've lost 3 of 4. Now they were against 3 really good teams. They lost to Coudersport. They lost to. They lost to Elk County Catholic, and they lost to Warren on Thursday night. But it's been a while since they've scuffled. Although a coach like Tony Allegretto, again, he's got a little bit more of an inexperienced team this year. I expect them to turn it around, and I really truly believe that we're going to be seeing them deep into February as we normally have.
Well, look at all their scores. All their scores. It's that we talked about it earlier. It's that defensive mindset. And, as long as you're playing good defense, offensively you can struggle. They struggled for a few games. They got back, they beat Brockway, I believe. But he's going to have them defensively sound. And if he can keep the score low and get, kind of a more of an inexperienced team compared to what he's had in the past, he'll be right there leading in the AA District 9 playoffs.
And you look at Coudersport, and with Coudersport's boys, they had a huge win over Cameron County the other night. People coming into that game thought it was going to be close, and it turns out to be a 30-plus point game. I'll say this: Coudersport's boys have really impressed me this year. I thought that when they lost Owen Chambers, that things were going to maybe be a little bit more difficult. But what you're seeing a lot of scoring from a lot of different places. Colby Van Wy, Hayden Keck, who we knew was going to be there. There's an Easton kid again up there, Dylan Keglevitz.
Yep.
Names that we're familiar with, but under Scott Easton, the first-year head coach, they're really playing great team basketball at this point. They've won 70 games in a row in that league. Can you imagine winning 70 in a row up there?
No, that's incredible. But I think what you said is exactly right. They're playing very, very good team basketball, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. How good a team is doesn't necessarily mean that you have Owen Chambers, who was just a phenomenal player. He was a defensive player, but he also just could shoot lights out. But now you replace him, you don't fill his shoes with one player, you fill it with a team, and they're getting very, very good team basketball, getting a lot of points. Who are you going to guard? Right? If each kid is scoring 12, 14 points, you can't just double up on one guy. So, looking at them, and I think a lot of teams around could look at them and see this is a recipe for success.
No question. Next week, Jess, you and I will break down some of the girls and what's happening in the girls around District 9 this week. Was our week to break down the boys. Once again, I want to say thank you to the Rehab Center with 6 locations, including locations in Clarion, Brookville, and Katanning. For an appointment, one number can get you into any of those offices, 724-478-1501. Check them out online at therehabcenters.com, and it's a center with it's the old English spelling of it with an R-E at the end instead of an E-R. Like them on Facebook, and again, special thanks to them for their sponsorship of this segment now. And until next time, folks, Chris Rossetti saying goodbye for the coach as well, Jess Quinn.